Welcome, Cleveland teachers. Hope you're enjoying your couple snow days. Wanting to just talk briefly about the rollout and then provide you with some additional information that might be useful as you guys are doing some planning. First thing is make sure you check that rollout manual that Kat sent. There's a few things that are particularly important. Number one, on Friday, assuming that we'll be off school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, although obviously Thursday has not been discussed yet, but looking at the temperatures, we can see that might be a possibility. On Friday, to bring the iPads down to the library as quickly as you can, either in the morning or during a prep period or at the end of the day. What we don't want are the new iPads to get mixed up with those old iPads, so bring those down as quick as you can to the library so Kat can wipe them and get them out to actually other students in other buildings next week. Also, you're going to need to print off those username and password slips so that your teacher or your students can use those during the day. So one of them is sort of this post-it example. I know in a lot of grade levels, working on parts of speech, noun, adjective, and verb particularly, but there are some other ones as well. So let me share with you a quick example there. So I'm going to go ahead and open this app right here. It's called Post-it Plus. And inside I have a variety of different boards. But I'm going to go ahead and open up board 6 because I have a few pieces in here. So here are some sticky notes that I've created already. So inside the board, if I come down here and hit the plus button, and then I can either take a picture of sticky notes in the room, or I can actually make them digitally, which is what I did here. And I could add sort of a sticky note or a word myself. And then up here on the right, I can hit add. In doing so, I have a variety of sticky notes. So one of the things that I think would be interesting would be to get kids to make their own board, right? So whether it's from articles they're reading, books they're reading, spelling lists, whatever the content of their words are, right? Get a bunch down here, 15, 20 words. And then either themselves, right? Or what would be interesting would be to then give this board to another student in the classroom. And then by simply tapping and dragging, right, they can try to find other ones that are the same. So boom. And then they can rename that group to be verb and then move that around, right? And then they can move things around. And then rename them. And then in this process, when they get done, the kids could either export this out as an image and bring that into Seesaw and turn it into the class. They could also put it on the projector in the front of the room and talk about why they made the decisions they made. They could bring it into Seesaw and actually add audio to it. They could bring it into a larger digital portfolio or digital journal in Pages. So I wanted to share another example that could be used probably in any sort of sequencing piece that you need students to do. So whether it's sequencing steps of a problem, putting the right number of objects in order, putting numbers in order, putting letters in the alphabet in order, putting words in alphabetical order, putting steps to sort of larger problem solving or events that happen in a science process or events even in historical context. So here I have just a bunch of words that I've put onto a keynote. And again, I just hit the plus button down here really fast, and I can pick this slide, and I just double tap to edit, and I can add in any word that I want really fast. And I could even use speech to text to make this happen faster. And again, getting students to build these would be outstanding. Here's a trick. Right up here, I can hit this button to change sort of the view to light table view. And now I can see all of my slides at once, and I can tap and drag them and try to put them in alphabetical order. And then once students do that, they'd be able to take a screenshot, upload it to Seesaw, and sort of explain what they were doing, or again, share their screen to the front of the room in the projector and talk about the order that they did, and why they decided to put Apple in front of August or vice versa. So that's just one example. The other example that I have in this is if you have the physical cards for the sequencing, obviously Post-it would be a particularly good way, right? They take a picture of those cards, they could put them in any order they wanted, right? I could put them in order sort of like this, and then talk about it. The other piece that students can do is if it's not cards, but something else that they're physically arranging, again, taking a picture with their camera on the iPad, bringing that into Seesaw or another video creation tool will allow them to sort of then reflect on that piece, or bring that photo into a digital journaling tool, Pages, to then write about the decision making that they have done. So just another quick example, if there's anything to do with sequencing, there are a number of different ways the iPad could be used to sort of help students reflect on that sequencing without having to do tons of cutting and gluing, where they're going to do more repetition and they actually can have sort of a deeper engagement with the content and less with sort of the physical aspect. I want to share a few pieces of information about Apple Classroom. And as you can see, Apple Classroom is right here. And so what my setup right now is, you'll see the teacher iPad is the one on the bottom. And then I have the 2 student iPads up here. Now, when you come in, you can see that I have Elkhart PD here, but you will have all of your classes. And as I tap into Elkhart PD, you'll see that I have 2 active students. So when you pop in into your classes, you will see the students that appear within your classroom. So a couple of things that Apple Classroom does really, really well. Number one, I can see immediately who's present. And in class, I have a third iPad off to the side, not the screen. That's why you see 3 folks there. Also, you can see that they're on the home screen. So if I go into Safari, for example, you'll notice that then iPad number 2 now says Safari and shows exactly where they are. Now, I also, on the teacher iPad, now if I touch screens, you'll actually see the screens that they are on. So I can see that number 2 is on Safari, and if I go to a different website, you actually can see what they're on. And then as I move my home screen, you actually can see on here what is happening to the home screen. So that's a valuable piece. Thinking that you're going to be able to monitor every kid every second, every day is not what the goal is, but it's an opportunity for you to see sort of different aspects. So I have a Keynote document open, and this would hold true for any template you might be making that you want to send to your class out of Classroom. So I have Apple Classroom open. You can see that it's open over here. And then I hit share within Keynote. And when I do that, one of the options that comes up is Elkhart PD. And I tap on that, and then it will jump out and send that template out to your students. The nice thing about this, right, is as the teacher, I can turn on, again, view screens, and I can see what they're doing and that they're on there. And then if there is a student that wants to share this information, if my iPad, again, is projecting to the screen, if I simply tap on iPad number 2 and say View Screen, it then puts it up. And now I have a large screen that is projected into the room, and everybody can instantaneously see it. Another idea could be to have, for example, on here, a keynote presentation that has 3 slides. Yes, I get it. No, I'm a little confused, or no, I don't get it. And again, if I have screens open and the kids have this open, I can, in an instant, by just looking down at my screen and all of my kids in the classroom, just by color or association, see how they're doing. And again, this could be done for a variety of different ways to be able to sort of see your kid's screen, not just for classroom management, but actually for formative assessment, understanding where they are, getting a quick glimpse into their work, where you don't necessarily have to talk to every kid. Two other pieces of information that are probably helpful. Number one, if you are looking at screens and see something either inappropriate or something you want to be able to touch base on later, you can always take a screenshot of what you see on your iPad. So I can have a screen that's here. Again, I can tap on it and I can hit view screen, and I can take a screenshot of whatever they have for my later use. The other thing that's important is, again, if I end the class, I get a summary report of what apps were being used by the students. And then in addition, if I click on an individual student, I can see exactly what apps they were in, and it'll list them. And again, this data is not available after this, but you could take a screenshot and keep this so you have a record of exactly what your kids were doing that day.